Love it.
Absolutely.
Okay, people. So I am joined by a lot of the creatives behind the new film, The Adventures of Maid Marian. We have got director, writer Bill Thomas. We have got producer David Underwood. And we have the star, Miss Marian herself, Sophie Louise Craig. People, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. Right, so there have been so many iterations of, the legend of Robin and, Marian over the years. What was it that made you think, all right, let's bring this to life?
Who wants to go for that?
That's the Bill question, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
What was going on? So we'd done a couple of shorts together. Sophie and I had worked together on a documentary series as well for a Discovery Channel thing, and we'd just gone really well. So we were looking for something to do. And we'd actually got kind of a comedy horror planned. And then I've forgotten which one, but one of the many lockdowns hit us, and that sort of killed it dead. And we were kind of had a month down. So we kind of sort of cast about to go, okay, what can we do with the time and the money that we've got, kind of the things available to us? What can we do that would be fun, that's kind of in a COVID world only needs a really small number of people? And we kind of settled on Robin Hood. It's outdoors, so it's ideal for COVID. It's for it's kind of adventure action female lead, and we kind of got to Robin Hood.
Okay. And to go, in this direction with the character, right? What was the there's, I think a lot of times it's just a retelling of the original story, but was kind of like what happened next kind of thing. So how did you kind of come up with that idea?
I think it was, we probably reached it because we were kind of looking at, there was a little gang of us who like making things together, and Sophie was a fantastic actor who we've worked with before, which is kind of like so it's more that we came up with a vehicle that we could do something with Sophie with, rather than saying, let's take the old legend and change it. So it's kind of, I've run out, something like that. I feel like I'm waffling.
And Sophie, like, how daunting was it to, pick up the reins of Marian when you think of all the people that have played her? Uma Thurman, Kate Moss, Kate Blanchett, and I think one of the most iconic has to be Kate Lonergan, right? So What made you think to yourself, all right, I think I can bring something new to this?
Do you know what? I mean, there's sort of like Audrey Hepburn even, there's so many people that have portrayed Marian, but I feel like this is such a fresh take on the Marian that we're maybe used to seeing in different films and stuff. This really is, Marian does take the reins in this film, and we get to see that side of her, even in the old stories, and the legends and stuff. Like Marian would pick up a sword and fight, and that's not a side that we've ever really been able to see. And Bill said something really good the other day, actually, when we were on another podcast. He was like, well, why not Marian? And it was like, I thought it was like the perfect thing. But in terms of sort of being able to play like such an iconic role that so many incredible women have done before me, I mean, I didn't really think about it too much. It didn't dawn on me until after I'd done it that, oh, okay. All right, well, I'm at the bottom of a very big list of people that have done it, but hopefully it's in a way that's new and fresh and hasn't really been seen before. So I tried not to think about that bit too much, but it was very exciting, scary, daunting, like you said. But
well, not thinking about it is probably, you know what I mean? I imagine it could be a good thing. So you're not, it's in your own head a lot of the time. But
yeah,
it is I'd say definitely a new take, but it does seem to make sense, right? Because you think if you've got these people's, holed up in Sherwood Forest, that they're not gonna be like, oh, well, you just sit there while we do. Everyone be mucking in and doing stuff. So yeah, you kind of imagine that Marian would be good with the bow. She'd be learning the sword, all of that kind of jazz.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, why not Marian? Black Widow, you've got all these amazing female leads and heroes doing all these incredible things. Why not let Marian have a go? Let her have her time to shine.
So when you were putting this together, Bill, did you, but with certain films, I think 300 was, one of those that you heard that the cast had to go on some crazy boot camp to get into shape. And there is running around, there's a lot of running around swinging swords, which I imagine the sword is probably heavy, right? So what kind of boot camp did you make Sophie and the rest of the peoples do to get ready for this?
Well, I keep talking about COVID, but we had the weird situation where we couldn't get people together for rehearsals. So all of the action stuff was kind of done at home. So our fighting choreographer, who coincidentally is called Robin, he videoed himself in his backyard playing all the different parts in the fights, and then he'd send each one of those videos to the different actors, and then they would at home go through the routines and learn them on their own. So the first time they kind of got to do them was actually on set on the day, and mostly worked.
It did.
I also remember me and Bill being on a last-minute Zoom call, and you getting a knock on the door, and it was 2 full-size swords being delivered to your front door. That was exciting.
Yeah, I had met Bill, I think, maybe a good month or so before in a car park, and you just gave me this sword. You were like, "There we go, practice. I'll see you on set." I mean, it's just such a strange time because obviously, with COVID and everything. But the sword was heavy, and I work out, I go to the gym. I thought I was fit, and then I got on set, and I was like, okay. All right.
Day one of the shoot was just you were running.
It was
brutal.
Running
you were running for about 11 hours.
My knee was gone immediately. Literally, I got straight out of hair and makeup, and the first scene that we shot, the first thing that we did was me running up and down this hill, and it was freezing cold as well. It was in March time.
We tried to schedule a lot of your running stuff all on one day, but Marian's traveling a lot in this film, so you definitely had a long. I'd like to have seen your step count of what you actually did across the 3 weeks.
Yeah, my belt, what was it, Bill? It went down like 2 or 3 notches. The wardrobe had to tighten it. If it was the opportunity to do another film, like a second one, then I would definitely be running more before I got onto set.
Well, it sounds like you might be owing Bill some money because he got you in shape. You didn't have to pay for the gym. I think you owe Bill some gym subscription here.
I do. I'm not a massive fan of running, but you just had to lump it. It was more like high intensity interval training, to be fair, within long distance. But yeah.
Awesome. So, David, what, you know what I mean? Because I think a producer on a lot of films, it's often, very different. So what was your kind of capacity with this one?
Well, this was actually my first time producing a feature film, full stop. I've known Bill for quite a while. We've done some shorts together. We've always we've worked together on smaller things, and we've always kept in touch. And Bill sent me the treatment and the script for Outcast, it was originally called, back in November 2019. I loved it. We were going to make it together, regardless of a budget. But it was just exciting that we wanted to do that together. And so 2-3 months later, we managed to secure a budget and shoot it in March. But it was my first time producing. I'm usually an assistant director on sort of high-end TV and films. That's where I am right now. I've managed to pull myself away from set whilst I'm actually in charge of about 80 crowd members on set, but someone's covering me right now for me to do a Zoom. But yeah, it was long Zoom calls. Me and Bill were always just on Zoom together. We in terms of the capacity, because it's the first time and there wasn't as many people on the team as what would be on a higher thing. We were talking about anything from who was going to be cast number 2 to who's going to book the toilets, that kind of thing. So the capacity of that was, Bill, you can chime in as well. Our Zoom calls were very varied. It was down from creative to logistics, really. So it's about hiring the right people, which we always, we had a phrase where we'd keep it in the family. We were always hiring people that we already knew, work with, trust. On set, it didn't really feel like a film crew. It felt more like a camaraderie of family. If a tea table needed moving, the camera operator would be picking it up with whoever's nearest. You agree, Bill? It was
absolutely.
It's the beauty. It's the beauty of the smaller budget films. The personality and the personability is there. There's not 100 people there. There's you're there. Marian's running and getting thrown into the dirt, but everyone else is also there, getting stuck in too. So I'm rambling, but it was a fantastic opportunity, and I'm really pleased I did it, because obviously when Bill sent me the script, I'd just started another job, but we made it work, and I was full time on assistant directing at the same time when we were doing pre-production. Managed to make it work.
Yeah, there were a lot of late night phone calls and things, and kind of lots of weekend work, but just kind of fitted it around our lives, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that was very much it. But we were always going to make the film, but we're just so pleased with what we've come out with. Really, so it was from beginning to finish, from Bill sending that script, it was exactly a year, really, from that treatment to us submitting in December. It was a full 13 months of our lives, really, as well as also. Bill was also doing bits as well, weren't you? You were working and directing on other things, and Sophie, you've been busy. It's been an exciting year.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Now,
challenging and busy.
Do you think producing is something you want to do more of, or are you going to stick with the assistant directing? And
no, producing is the end goal. Definitely, already doing it technically now, but it's 100% my dream and my passion of what I want to do. Assistant directing is something I've been doing for, I've been in the industry for 11 years now. But assistant directing is a great bread and butter, and it's taught me a lot. But it's producing that's the end game. My first job was on Big Brother. It's been a very, very varied career. I used to be, go into the house when the Big Brother housemates were asleep and take the bins out and clean the windows. And that was my first job. I used to, the double-sided mirrors. I used to clean those at 3 a.m.
Did a great job. You did a great job.
Look how far I've come.
Oh man, from creeping around a house to messing around in a forest.
That's it. Yeah.
Bill, so where did the idea of changing the name of the film? Because as David said, it's originally called Outcast. So what then made you think, actually, no, let's go with The Adventures of Maid Marian?
Well, that was kind of partly, quite significantly down to Signature, the distributors. So kind of when we first, the film went through a couple of different iterations where when I first submitted it to them, because obviously they do a lot of this sort of stuff. My original version really was an 18 film. It's kind of Robin Hood meets Rambo.
It was very dark.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
But and Signature kind of just they just kind of talked us through and gave us some great advice, really, which was that Robin Hood's kind of more of a family title. It doesn't really do it as well as an adult film. So we kind of went back, did some revisions, had a lot of gore, that kind of thing, and kind of in the process of that, that's kind of when as it got lighter, that's where the title change came from. And again, we just kind of took advice from Signature on that.
Okay. Yeah, because I think it's always interesting when you see a film and you see, oh, it used to be called this, and it's always that, I wonder why they changed it, right? So that all makes sense.
Yeah, kind of led by the experts, I guess.
So out of all the stuff that you cut from it, is there anything you feel that I wish we could have kept that?
I mean, there's a very significant plot point, but I'm not sure what we're allowed to say or not.
No spoilers. No.
Yeah. Let's keep the audience wanting to see the film. You know what I mean?
Yes, I can tell you later. There's a very significant thing that does or doesn't happen, which would have been different in the adult version. I'll tell you once we're off the air.
Oh, yeah, no, that would spoil the film.
Yes.
We had to write out the fire spinning clowns.
That's it. Yes.
Okay. So, how, like, you said you've worked with Sophie before, but how did all the other casting come about? Was a lot of that like instant, like, oh, this person, we need to get this person, or did you do just a whole audition process?
No, so most of the cast were people that we'd already worked with. As David said, keep it in the family. Part of that was literally keep it in the family because my wife plays one of the roles. But that was again conscious because of COVID. We had to try and keep the numbers down as low as we could. And so, yeah, Kira, my wife, was already in the bubble, if you like. So that was it. And she trained as a stuntwoman, so she's got kind of like a bit of a natural choice to throw around and things. But most of the rest of the people all kind of came, either people we knew or kind of friends of friends. I think kind of the two new people really to us were there was Dominic Anderson, who plays Robin Hood. There's a story there, we'll come back to that. And then Bob Cryer, who plays our sheriff.
Yes, he was very menacing.
Yeah, so Bob's kind of...
Bob's great.
Yeah.
Bob's great, isn't he?
He's a regular on Hollyoaks. He's done like about 100 episodes of that and various other things.
He's a baddie in Coronation Street. I've seen him be a baddie in Corrie.
Yes.
He's actually really sweet in real life. He's actually
he's the sweetest man.
Yep.
He's the sweetest man.
But then
we also were quite lucky with our soldiers. You might be led to believe we had lots of them, but with the cleverness of helmets, we managed to double up a couple of people cheekily.
Yes, a lot of the same soldiers die repeatedly.
But
our performances from the soldiers were great because obviously, Bill, we used a place called Eversley Woods filming where they also have live action role play and already some built sets there for that. And so a lot of our guys we use, it's not the first time they've pretended to fight with swords. It's one of their passions and one of the things they do for fun. So we got the performance of that, because there's years of experience. You agree, Bill? It was an asset, really. A really good place to film, but it already had wooden huts built. It already had some of the liveries and things. It was almost like a playground that was already built for us. We didn't need to really build many sets, and they already had some of their own gear, and they really were passionate about it. They were practicing their sword fighting. You can tell when people really care and enjoy doing it. It wasn't just a normal, you book an extra, an essay, and they're like, oh, I haven't done this before. These guys were passionate, and that sort of shows on the screen as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
handy.
You know, guys who turn up in the hairy blokes with their own chainmail is very useful.
Oh, yeah, very hairy. big beards coming down with the chainmail and the helmets like that. I tried a helmet on it; they're not comfortable. They're not great.
Not at all. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I mentioned Dominic Anderson, who plays Robin. There's a little story there, I guess, which is that I think our first day of filming was a Sunday, and on the Friday morning, our original Robin unexpectedly dropped out. So suddenly, with kind of 2 and a bit days to go, we didn't have a Robin Hood. And Cheat and Lucinda from Picture Perfect, who helped us produce it, they kind of run around like crazy fools for the day, and by 4 o'clock they'd found us another Robin, which was Dominic.
Yeah, there was a couple of nervous Zoom calls that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dominic frantically read the script, and then but the first time any of us actually met him was on set on the first morning of shooting, so he was right in the deep end.
He was brilliant, though. He was definitely, you know, when just everything happens for a reason. It just, I don't think it would have been the same film if it would have been anybody else. So
yeah, I think he did incredibly well to kind of just suddenly go from sort of 0 to 60, kind of from never having seen the script on Friday afternoon to having to know 90 pages for Sunday. Fair enough.
By the way, you're now Robin Hood in a new Robin Hood film.
Go.
Well, I will say he's definitely got a resilient back. You know?
yes, he does.
Not too many spoilers, but he has a hard time.
He does have a hard time. He really does. But there's a lot of people after him. So, you know.
He's a very wanted man.
He's a very wanted man.
Yeah, you guys really aren't that popular, were you?
No,
he's lucky. We wanted to make him even worse. You know, he got away with a lot. So he
did. Yeah, I mean, Outcast was completely different. This is great. You know,
he has a much nicer time in this version. Yes,
he does.
Oh man, that's crazy. That is that, would you say, Bill, like one of the craziest things, like losing one of your, you know, key characters just a couple of days before filming?
Yeah, I mean, kind of, because everything's done, you know, quite a tight budget and a very, there's not much room in the schedule to shuffle things around. So if we hadn't had a Robin for that Sunday, I mean, it would have been fairly disastrous for the schedule, but luckily Dom showed up, so it's fine.
It's scary, actually, or crazy, should I say, how often these things happen, and like literally last minute you're just thrown into a frenzy and the cast changes and it's 2 days before you're about to shoot, and it's so it's really quite normal, even in like massive films. Like it's
I've turned my radio
scary.
off. I've turned my radio off, but I can see my phone buzzing. It's very accurate. Film sets and being in the film industry, it's problem solving and adapting. It's it's the days of writing a script, writing a schedule, and sticking to it. I don't even know if that ever existed, but it definitely doesn't exist in my world. My boss is currently trying to find 30 essays for tomorrow morning.
Oh gosh.
It's always adapting, and COVID also is a whole other layer on top of how complicated things are anyway. So you think about potentially, obviously we got Dom last minute, but there was always the chance that he could have contracted COVID, and you just got to think about these things. So adapting and filmmaking is it's something you can't teach. You have to learn by doing, really. You'll see on film sets. And this is why I love working with Bill. There'll be a sort of slight change or something going on, and all of a sudden you'll be like, I've pulled out this. Here's a new bow and arrow I built last night at midnight. He just turns up. He had a van that was just full of absolutely everything you could imagine. Yeah. He's not just a director. He's man
legend.
A legend, he's
like Marian.
He builds all his own props. builds all his own props, and not just a director. Definitely.
Well, when you look at all the things you worked on, Bill, like it definitely must be a great foundation to be able to do things like this and have that understanding of being able to adapt quickly and create components for the film.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's taught me to be very visual, I suppose. So I guess I got quite a strong grasp on what the camera's going to see, what you can get away with, what you must have, what you can cheat, and kind of this sort of budget's kind of made for that mindset, I guess, because it's there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on and trying to make it feel like it's as kind of rich and expensive as it can be, while you're running around the woods with a load of restrictions.
And things do go wrong. I seem to remember there was one of the bow and arrows was a bit temperamental, and you were constantly trying to glue it back together.
I did break a good 2 or 3 of the props. I was a bit heavy-handed with a spade, and and luckily James Dance, who plays Simon in it, he just would run off and fix it and then come back, and I was like, thanks. Everyone just mucked in. But I was quite heavy-handed with some of the props. I got very into it. It just
there's a moment where Sophie hits somebody in the face with a spade, and that's what she's referring to there.
I didn't hit their face. I just was a bit heavy with the spade.
And it wasn't even in the script, right?
That was just me. Nothing about.
Have to write in a black eye for some reason.
Oh dear.
I don't know. It was hard work, but it was a ton of fun. It was it was very, very good natured shoot. As we said before, because it's kind of keeping it in the family. Kind of like everyone knows each other beforehand. We all get on really well. Really, it was a surprisingly smooth 2 weeks, given what it could have been.
It means everybody gels really fast as well. Like everybody gets along straight away.
Yeah, I'd do it all again tomorrow. Everyone was amazing. It was so lovely.
We all heard you say that.
I'm in. Sign me up. I won't break the chain.
Just going to jot down more running.
More running. Yeah. I'll be ready this time.
I'm writing it down now so I don't forget. More running.
Okay. Note to self.
It's probably worth mentioning, just in terms of keeping it the family, just thought I might mention our director of photography, Paul Jenkins, who's about 400 years old. I'm sure he won't thank me for saying that. But we've done tons and tons of things together, and again, Sophie and I worked with him on American Monster the summer before. So kind of he's somebody I trust implicitly and who we know is fast. He's got a fantastic eye. So it just kind of fit together really.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the film looks beautiful. It's just it's just a joy to watch, really. I don't know the exact name of it, but the camera rig that he had, it was just so dynamic because it's just there, ready to be. It's like a body mount, wasn't it, hanging off of a string?
Easy rig, yeah.
Easy rig, yeah. Well, it was easy rig, and it's easy to watch afterwards as well. It's good. We were very blessed with all the costumes as well that we got from a theatre in Norwich as well.
Yes, a friend of ours. Again, we keep saying keep it in the family, but one of the actors, Harry, who played Friar Tuck, his wife Amanda is a wardrobe mistress in a little theatre, so she provided us with probably 90% of what we used at the end, and then some of it also came from the live role players, as we said, arriving with their own chainmail and things. And, Sophie's a fan of chainmail.
It's very heavy, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it's not the nice chainmail that most actors prance around in, that looks like chainmail but isn't. They put me in the hardcore 3-stone chainmail. That was. There was our wardrobe. And Jordan, she literally was holding the chainmail in between takes. Like I would sit down and she'd come over and put her hands under the chainmail and try and lift it off my shoulders just because I was like, oh, like, yeah, it was heavy, incredible. It was beautiful and it was incredible. And to wear it, like I said this the other day, like the exhaustion on my face is real. Like I'm supposed to look tired, but it's all real.
So what was the worst? The chainmail, the sword play, or pulling a bow? As
Oh, you know what? I loved all of it. For me, it was the chainmail. I loved sword fighting. I love a bow, like doing the bow and arrow. I love fighting. I'm quite a physical person. So none of that's daunting. I've done a lot of fighting work before. I did wrestling as well. So like for me, that was fine. But yeah, I struggled with the chain mail. The first couple of days I didn't sleep. I don't know if it was excitement or a bit of anxiety or whatever. And then we had 2 very heavy days of running and fighting the first couple of days. And there was, I put the chain mail on after I'd had it on the previous day and my shoulders were all like purple. And that for me, I was like, oh yeah, this is sore, but it was great. I think it added to it. It just and the minute the camera goes on, it's like, okay, there you go, back and you just use it. You just channel it. But I honestly, I loved every single second.
And can you actually hit a target with a bow and arrow?
Yes.
Nobody say anything. We should just leave it there, shouldn't we?
No, I can. There was actually one of the shots that we needed for the film. I was we were like running around trying to get the shot, or whatever, and I had to try and get it in a bullseye for this shot. But on one of the takes, I didn't have, I had like obviously all my arm guards on and everything, but I didn't have a chest guard on. And the string just went bing, and it like literally skimmed quite past there. And that was painful. But no, yeah, I mean, I didn't hit anything I wasn't supposed to. And I hit exactly where I was supposed to hit. So yeah, it was great.
Okay.
Nobody died.
Nobody died.
We were very careful with that, yeah.
I hear that is an important, bit of set etiquette there.
Yeah, not to aim it at anyone.
Yes.
Now, shooting during COVID with all the restrictions and everything like that, but does it then create this? I mean, you got to feel very satisfied being able to, put together a whole film, but also it's that problem solving, right? Because if you can make a film during all of that, right, doing it any other time is going to be a piece of cake, relatively.
I think
I was just going to say we were blessed because it was all set in woods, really. Like Bill had kindly written that, and not 2 cast members in a prison cell right next to each other. Like we were lucky to have that element. That we were outside a lot. We were obviously very COVID compliant. We had a COVID supervisor. We did, it's the same as what happens on bigger film sets even today. With us, we had a health questionnaire, so you fill out a form that says you feel well and you don't feel ill and you don't have any symptoms, and that's the logistics of it. But it's difficult because it does add this whole other layer. It makes things more expensive, and at any given moment it can, say Sophie gets it. Sophie's in almost every scene. We didn't, so we were lucky with that. But we did lateral flow tests before any intimate scenes, and we were very, very planned out with it. But is there anything you want to say about that as well, Bill? Like it was
well, just
daunting, but it went well.
Because it was written during COVID. We thought about that, I guess, and that's part of the reason we settled on one of the reasons that we chose to do Robin Hood was because it's mostly outdoors. And so from a COVID point of view, it's kind of the safest environment to be in. And so, yeah, it was kind of a conscious decision, really, that everything happens in big, wide open spaces, and we don't really have very many intimate scenes. and I think sort of testing when we did.
Yeah, that was the first day actually. The first day
Yes.
I just met Dominic and Claire, our COVID supervisor, was like, here we go, and it was like, and kiss. It was like, like, nice to meet you. Shove it up your nose, kiss. But yeah, no, it was great. Claire was amazing, and yeah, nobody got COVID, so that's good.
Yeah, we're very lucky with that. Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down to the planning as well, but again, you can't, as you see in the news, you know, there's cases still growing today, and some of it is an element of safety, but some of it is just luck as well. We were lucky with it. Yeah.
Okay. It's definitely a handy thing. Now, putting these things together and being, the fact that you've all worked on all scale of budget things, like what is more satisfying, right? Working on that big budget production or working on something smaller budget and just seeing it really become this great thing, all come together and just work in a way where, you don't necessarily have to think about making a big budget film.
I think I'll start, if that's all right. I guess I'll start that again, shall I? I think certainly for me, because I have worked on lots of big things. You can kind of get lost on big productions, so you become quite a small cog, and it all becomes very, very, very departmentalized. And I don't know, it's tricky. It's kind of sometimes being on a big thing, seeing the scale and the scale of thinking that goes on is incredible. And there's kind of, huge things blowing up and massive sets and literally hundreds of people, and that can be quite awe-inspiring sometimes. But I'm not sure it's as much fun as doing small things, because when you're doing small things, everyone knocks in. You can share ideas, you can try different things out. I don't know, it feels a lot more creative, personally, I think.
The thing is, with the bigger budget, productions, there's a lot more opinions, there's a lot more people. So with a smaller budget, there's less people, there's less opinions, and as you say, Bill has said, you can be more creative. You can still be creative on the bigger stuff if you're in charge, obviously, but when you've got a full feature film to shoot in 3 weeks, you have to be as efficient as possible, and having less opinions and being able to be fully creative, that's how it works. And it's a joy to be in that realm, really, because at the end of the day, it's, Bill's written this, he wants to be in charge of it, and that's why, in answer to your question, always be rather be doing the smaller stuff where you're in charge, definitely. That's the ultimate goal, and it was good to be there, doing it.
How about you, Sophie?
There's something really lovely about just all mucking in, and obviously everybody wants to work on like the big budget things and this, that, and the other. But I think even from an actor's point of view, there's just something really charming. Is that the word? Like, I don't know if that's the word. Just special, and it feels like much more of it's like, look what we did with what we didn't have. Does that make sense? Look what, there is a bigger sense of achievement, and it's like you have, if you have less budget, there's more obstacles to overcome, and the fact that you still come out with something so like lovely and brilliant and true to what it was you had in mind originally, even with maybe not all the money in the world, and the fact that everybody was a really big part of this, I feel like makes it much more special.
I'll never forget the first time that Bill and me, we got the first rough cut of the first 8 to 10 minutes of the film, but it had the opening sort of music, had the opening title music, and there was my name, with the word producer written above it. I'll never forget that moment. It's just, it was all epic, awesome. I watched it over and over, and the music's great.
Oh.
The music is
Yeah,
fantastic.
the music's brilliant.
He didn't watch the
I
film.
had it on my phone.
He didn't watch the film. He just watched his own bit going past.
Oh, yeah.
David, what was the film like? I don't know. Didn't get past the first 15 seconds.
My name it's within the first 30 seconds, so you don't need to watch it anymore. It's fine. But yeah, I was like, Mom, Dad, look at this, Mom. Oh, yeah. We've been credited before, but there's no better feeling than that. Seeing that. The film's really
that's
too.
Great, man. Yeah, I think that's a big thing though. There's a lot of times these moments happen, but we don't realize it, or we don't have the time to be like, yo, this is happening. So the fact that, being your first producer thing and you being able to just absorb all of that and realize that moment, that's a great memory to have.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. And we've got a little screening going on in a couple of weeks on a big screen, and I will, have that moment again, but 60 foot. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Can't
wait.
Nice.
We might not be able to rewind it over and over again, though, David.
I'm just going to jump up and be like, pause it there, guys. Just pause it. One more.
I'll make sure we cheer really loudly every time someone's name comes up.
Phil Thomas, why is he first?
we never get that far, yeah.
Oh man, I would say I worked in a cinema while I was at university, and the amount of times people said, could you not just rewind it? And you'd be like, no, it doesn't work like that. I cannot rewind a film.
I used to work in a cinema too. Yeah, it's not a thing. You can't do that.
Oh dear. So now if Robin, Marian, and the crew survived the film, is there any thought of maybe letting them continue their adventures?
Who's going there?
That's you, Bill. I mean, I'm ready.
Well,
you did direct and write it, so I wasn't.
So, I mean, yes, we'd love to. I think, unfortunately, that's for higher powers than us to decide. But no, we'd absolutely love to do it again. It'd be great fun to do it as a series. And,
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
1,000,000%. That's what we're going to manifest. We just need everyone to watch it, everyone to say really lovely things, and then for Signature to be like, there we go, off you go, because we're all ready.
we have just week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, just finished doing Three Musketeers.
I saw that. Yeah, on IMDb it says post-production, so that's all done now.
Yeah. So there'll be several familiar faces appearing in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation for another time.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'd be happy to have that, because I would say the Three Musketeers and Robin Hood were two of my favorites as a kid. Just all the different iterations, even D'Artagnan and the Three Musket Hounds. You know what I mean? Just they were great. Loved that.
Brought up on that, yes.
So I guess like Maid Marian must have been a nice little foundation for something like the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of very similar in setup. It's just kind of a slightly larger scale. There's a lot of very sort of similar themes and I guess similar skills required as well.
More chainmail?
No, not this time. We got away with that.
It was just for me. I only get the chainmail, unfortunately.
Wearing it under your costume, yeah.
Even if there's no chainmail in any of the films, I'm just going to have to wear it from now on, I guess.
You're going to have to wear it for the screening next week.
Great, I'm ready. I've got a lovely black dress and then a 3-stone chainmail like vest, so I'm ready.
Yeah.
Oh man! So like being, such a condensed kind of shoot. Like, how did you keep track? Are you the type to oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it. Oh man, when you just have the pictures of the scenes.
Oh, storyboard.
Oh, movie magic.
Oh my god,
Oh.
storyboard. Yeah, that's it. Storyboarding. Do you storyboard or do you just keep it all up in the mind? Like, how do you kind of keep track of everything?
Well, kind of along with the cameraman, we did a bunch of site visits beforehand. So we kind of walked around. Sophie came with us and walked around the sets, and we kind of blocked out. We couldn't get everyone there to have big rehearsals, but we walked around it, kind of visualized it all, figured out roughly where people would be blocked, how the scenes would play out. So we never storyboarded, but we had a very good sort of visual idea of what we were going to be doing every day. And so kind of, like I said, Sophie came as well, so kind of she was already familiar with the environment and knew how the scenes would play out. But I don't find, when I first started directing, I storyboarded quite a lot, and the more I do it, the less I storyboard, unless it's, I don't know, a visual effects sequence or something that requires specific shots. Just because there are so many, you know, saying about problem solving, kind of so many different things happen that I know as soon as a prop doesn't arrive on set, or now it's raining and it wasn't supposed to, or any of those things happen, your storyboards go out the window anyway. So it's far better just to have a good feel for what the scene is and what the story in the scene is, and then go and film it, I guess.
As Phil says, you never know what's going to happen with the problem solving. We actually had a location drop out on us the day before we were supposed to be shooting. A church, and you know, we did have a backup, luckily, but things can go wrong at last minute. But we were very blessed. You know, quite a large amount of the film is shot in Eversley, where we know the owners of the site very well. So we're quite blessed, as you say. If it rains or something happens, you just bounce around and problem solve. And when we were doing recce's, we'd find little bits of the woods that look good, and little bits, you know. One of the issues that does come up with shooting in the woods across a period of time, obviously the shoot was 3 weeks long, but when we went to the edit, there were certain shots that need to be reshot or little gaps. All of a sudden, you've gone from March to August, the leaves look different. So that can be a challenge. Matching that, making sure that goes on. Leaves.
You can tell we don't get interviewed very much, can't you?
Hey, but you know, like, I think the thing that people always want to know, you know what I mean, with something like this is just like everything that went down, right? You don't want to hear that edited version of, oh, it was all perfect, or like, you know, just find out, be like, oh, so that was an issue and that went wrong, but we overcame it in this way. So you know what I mean? It's just like, that's an honest conversation, and that's what people want. So it's all appreciated, guys.
Good.
Yeah. So with the script, Bill, like, how easy was this to write? Because especially, I think that was one big thing. Well, it's a funny thing with COVID, because some people were able to be mad productive, but then you saw a lot of writers, and there was books that were meant to come out, and scripts and TV films, and it all some of that stuff stopped because the creativity and people struggled. So how was it with this story? Did it just boom jump into your head, or was it more of a meticulous, right, I'm sitting down, I'm writing and trying to get it done?
I tend to work best when I've got a deadline, and I kind of gave myself an enforced deadline, which was we shot in March, but I think I started writing it in October or November. Whenever, I think it was an October lockdown that we knew was going to be 4 weeks long, and I was doing a documentary series, but I knew that I had a month off in March, and so it's kind of right. Okay, that gives me from now till March to get this together. So I've accidentally gained 4 weeks off because of COVID. So now it's kind of now or never, really. So I just kind of made myself write it and spent that month writing it. And well, one of the first things was messaging Sophie and saying, "How about it?" And then the same to David, and just trying to put the team together.
I just started a contract that day as well when I got it through.
And
with the job I was on at the time, just like the month before we shot, we had a COVID case on our job where we ended up standing down for a month, which meant I was at home for a whole month, and it was in a pivotal time where we were coming up with a schedule and coming up with casting and all kind of stuff. So it timed quite well. There was a lot of online YouTube tutorials on how to use movie magic to schedule a film, things like that. That was what I was doing.
That was it, really. It was the various things that all of us are trying to plan and trying to do. Keep getting stopped. They keep getting shut down. We can either just accept it or try and do something about it, I guess. And I think it was just that. Yeah, now or never, we can mooch around sulking for 4 weeks or do something, and so we made a film.
That's great. Yeah, it's always impressive when you can see that people, you know what I mean, set their heart on something and they overcome all the hurdles and make it happen. So yeah, big congratulations. And the film drops on Friday, I believe the 22nd, right?
Oh no, May the 9th.
May the 9th.
Close, nearly.
I moved up the release early. Sorry, guys. All right, you can have a little bit longer on that. All right, so May the 9th. So people, all the information will be in the episode notes. So make sure that you take a look and you follow everyone's socials. Now, because I know I have to let you go shortly, but how can people keep track of you and all these other great projects that you're working on?
Sophie's probably the most findable person, I would have thought.
I guess just online on Instagram or on Twitter at It's Sophie Craig is where you can find me. Just doing probably just more pictures of my dog than anything, but if that's your thing.
Female or just fur?
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, and Bill?
I'm one of those people that barely exists on social media. I've kind of I use Facebook with my friends a lot, but I guess Instagram I probably post about twice a year or something. So yeah, I'm very dull in that respect.
I have an Instagram, but it's very much I post maybe once every few months or so. If you're interested in pictures of my food or my number plates on my cars, then you can probably follow me.
There's one other thing I just thought we should maybe throw in quick, which is we're saying we did this, we did that, but it's just worth saying Cheat and Lucinda from Picture Perfect, kind of without them. They kind of broken the deal for us. They've had a long-term relationship with Signature, the distributors, and they kind of they raised the money for us and sort of made it possible, really. So we should say a big thanks to them.
Yeah,
yes, very much so. Thank you.
Both brilliant.
With it being my first time producing, I've got lots of experience on set and working in film and television, but the whole new role of this, with obviously working with Bill, who's so proactive and so good, it was just a joy to do. Really, it's my first project. And yeah, Jeet and Lucinda were always at the end of the phone or Zoom call to help us along the way, and it couldn't have happened like this without them. Definitely not. And I'm pretty sure it was those guys who found Dom Anderson last minute as well. So there's that, and all the contacts, and they've made lots of films over the last 5-6 years, and all the experience that they had, and all the problem solving that they've had over the last 5-6 years is how we got to our end product, really.
Man, yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, it's great seeing just something great come out of lockdown. You know what I mean? And just the fact that it really does feel and sound like it was this real close-knit affair. So the fact that you've been able to put this together, it's gonna drop to the world shortly. Hey, you know what I mean? You should all back, right?
And we're super proud of the product. So super proud of it.
Not with anything sharp. It's like,
well, thank you very much for having us.
Hey, no, I appreciate you guys stopping by, and good luck with the big release and looking forward to the Three Musketeers.
Excellent. Well, hopefully see
Thank
you
you
then.
very much.
All right, definitely
Cheers.
stop by.
See you
Thank
later.
you, Kevin.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.